You're going to see it, and you're going to celebrate it. And 4, 3, 2, 1.
We originally pitched Untold, coming off of Wild Wild Country. So this was like 2019. Now we're on our third volume of the show. And what's odd is like, we definitely wanted to make a big, bold sports anthology series that covered provocative stories, interesting stories, human interest, stories that you don't necessarily need to be a sports fan to enjoy, that capture human drama. And it is odd in 2023 that we're on our third volume now, and the train's still going, and it's just my favorite show that we get to work on. So it's been a dream.
With Johnny Manziel's project, what was the importance, or how did you strike the balance of showing Johnny football, but also showing Johnny Manziel?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think for us, like, we always want to try to make sure that audiences can connect with the human, not just the athlete, but the person inside is very important goal for us. And getting to talk to Johnny and hearing from him, and our director Ryan Duffy did an incredible job. But like hearing his inner experience of what it was like to go from being an unknown 18-year-old kid to possibly one of the most famous athletes on the planet in 1 year. Hearing Johnny's experience of that roller coaster ride, I think it was just like incredibly relatable in a way that I didn't expect. And I think for Johnny, his connection to the sport was really his connection to his teammates and hanging out and having fun. And I think that's something that people can relate to. It's hard to relate to Mamba mentality. Not everyone has the Kobe Bryant Mamba mentality. That's hard, but someone who wants to kind of party, have a good time, hang out with their teammates and friends, to me was a really interesting way to kind of understand Johnny and understand his desires.
What sort of nuance do you need to have when discussing someone's mental health and some of the things that they've had to go through under such a tight microscope?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think the truth is it is a little bit of a tightrope, because a lot of these athletes, they don't want a pity party. They're not coming here to play victim or anything in that manner. So I think it's about like doing it in the most genuine, authentic way possible, which is like, we're not doing this in a sappy way. We just want you to be honest about what you went through. And us as filmmakers, like, we promise to capture that in a way that feels genuine and non-manipulative. And I think athletes have been able to see kind of previous episodes and previous volumes, and I think they know that Untold's like a unique space for them to be open, to be a little bit vulnerable, and ultimately know that hopefully they're in good hands, and that will tell their story accurately and fairly.
It's interesting because I think that for the majority of our athletes, they played in the 90s, the early 2000s, maybe early 2010s. And it's just like mental health in sports was just not really as talked about as much as it is today. So for a lot of times, it's like these athletes are talking about going through like a very, up and down journey as a professional athlete, wins, losses, struggles. But now in 2023, sitting down in the chair that we interview them in, it's really sometimes the first time that they're really ever talking about their journey through, like, hey man, this is what I was feeling, this is what was going in my head, like this was stuff. It's really the first time that they're talking about some of these mental health issues. And it's a big part of what Untold is in a way. It's a big part of athletes talking about their journeys today,
Looking back now, you've spearheaded 2 projects on 2012 Heisman finalists.
I know.
Was that a particularly unique year for backstory, or do you feel like each year, if you dug in hard enough, you could find documentary worthy stories of these Heisman finalists?
Yeah, I think the crossover, or like the Untold metaverse, as we call it, is always interesting when we get into edit bay and see some of our characters popping up in different stories. I think for us, we have like a really high standard for what we think will captivate an audience for 70 minutes. That's hard. It's not easy to do. And so there's a lot of things on the required necessary list of things to make a fascinating story. And it's not every year, it's not every athlete. We need athletes that are going to be like raw and open and vulnerable. And understand these aren't like branded PR puff pieces. They're multiple day interviews. It's warts and all storytelling. It's not always super comfortable. But I think ultimately these athletes realize that like, if they're honest, they're true, it's going to give audiences a better chance to kind of connect with them and understand what they've been through. And we've had great luck with the athletes we've collaborated with.
So that doesn't mean inherently volume 4 will have a Colin Klein project.
Exactly. Not yet. No, not yet. But it would be nice to have the little, it's like our little Godfather trilogy of 20 Heisman nominees. Yeah.
Thank you so much for the insight again. Really enjoyed so many of your projects over the years and enjoyed sitting down and talking with you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jordan. I appreciate it.